On today's show, we look at the early winners and losers from the offseason and how it impacts the hockey card hobby and what the heck is eBay doing. We'll tell you about what they're up to and so much more on episode 46 of the Hockey Card Haven podcast. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. This is episode 46, the Hockey Card Haven podcast. This is a weekly show diving deep into the world of hockey card collecting, flipping, and investing. Just a reminder that this podcast is free and available on Spotify in addition to YouTube for all you on-the-go listeners. I am your host, Mike Distefano. Got my buddy Brandon Moore alongside with me. Welcome back to the pod, pal. How you feeling?
Pretty good.
So, we didn't have a show last week because it was Canada Day and the day after, and we were not in the right state to do a show in the morning. I had to work as well. So we decided, let's take the vacation week and celebrate Canada as best we can and free agent frenzy the best we can. So we decided to take the week off of a show, but we're back. But that means that we got to reflect on everything that has happened over the course of the last couple of weeks. And dude, there's been a lot of change in the hockey world that is different from it was 2 weeks ago, the last time that we hopped on here for a podcast. We had the NHL draft, we've had free agency, and pretty much most of the heavy lifting is done when it comes to the turnover for most teams, right? Usually there's that kind of 2 week span, a week leading up to the draft, and then the week after the draft, and then the next couple of days after free agency. That's when most things get done. And lots of turnover, lots of new faces in new places, and we'll kind of go through some of those things. We got our winners and losers of the offseason. We'll take a look and see, what's who's trending up, who's trending down. Little hobby hockey card stock market with guys stocking up and stocking down based on what happened throughout the course of the early part of the offseason. And I'm curious, Brandon, what's your offseason plan of attack? What are we doing moving forward over the next couple of months through the offseason when it comes to buying, flipping, collecting cards? And we got to get into this eBay thing too, where apparently they're changing the bidding system. And I don't know what the heck is going on there or why they're doing this, but we'll get into that on today's show too. So super busy. So let's get right down to it. Early off-season winners and losers. So it's still an incomplete off-season for a lot of teams, a lot of GMs. So, we can acknowledge that it's early and our minds could be changed. But to this point, is there a team out there that you think has really helped themselves over the course of the last couple of weeks and made some additions to this hockey club, to their hockey club, to put them one step closer to winning and competing with the Florida Panthers for the Stanley Cup? Who's your early winner of the offseason so far?
Yeah, I think Carolina did pretty well. I think they had a good offseason, and they added Ehlers, who in my mind can score 30 plus goals. And they also did that sign and trade with the Rangers, getting Keandre Miller for their back end.
Yeah.
Competing with the Florida Panthers, though, I don't know if that's going to be a thing because they're just, I don't know, man. The Panthers are just different. I don't know.
Yeah, realistically, I think an easy answer could be that the Florida Panthers are the early winners of the offseason because they were somehow able to retain Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand, and Aaron Ekblad. Thought maybe one, possibly even two of them could reach free agency. Didn't happen. They decided that they were going to do whatever they could to sign all three, including giving 38-year-old Brad Marchand a 6-year deal, which is just absolutely absurd. So you could make the argument that Florida, I guess, could be considered winners of the offseason. But a team that I really like what they got up to over the last couple of weeks is the Montreal Canadiens. And I thought they made an outstanding deal at the draft where they traded a couple of picks and were able to get Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders. He's a top line blue liner, right shot defenseman. Yeah. He can put up points, create offense. So Noah Dobson, to me, that was a massive add to Montreal. I like what they've been doing with their forward group. Obviously, Ivan Demidov came across the pond late last year. He had a little bit of a cup of coffee towards the end of the season, but a full summer, a full training camp with the Montreal Canadiens. I like what, the possibility of what Demidov could do next year. He's going to be a crazy hobby chase next season too for Montreal. I'd imagine he's going to be in Series 1 after making his debut last year, and he probably will be the big chase there. But also, they made a little sneaky trade adding a guy, Zach Bolduc, who was a 24-25 young guns. He was a rookie for the St. Louis Blues this past year, had 19 goals. And he's just kind of like a grinder power forward, but just 22 years old, 19 goals in his first season in the NHL. I think that he's a guy who could get you 20 to 25 each year. He plays that power forward role well, great third line piece for this team. I just think the additions they made and the internal improvements I expect from some of the younger players that are there, I like what Montreal's up to, man. They got Jacob Dobish signed to an extension as well. We know that Dobish is just raking in the cash for anyone selling his young guns nowadays, and now he's making a bit more money with the 2-year extension. So to me, I look at the early winners. I really think that Montreal is going to be one of the teams next year. When you look at their point total from a year ago and compare it to, I think, what they'll do in 25-26, I think Montreal will be one of those rising teams in the standings. So that's kind of my early winner so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. Montreal, they added a couple pieces there that, I mean, they made the wild card last year and just barely, but they had added a couple pieces on the blue line and Bolduc. I think it'll help them for sure.
Yeah. On the other end, there's what goes up must come down, right? So if teams are rising in the power rankings, that be in the NHL, some teams got to fall. Is there a team in your mind over the last couple of weeks that might take a step back based on what happened in through the draft and free agency and whatnot?
Yeah, I was looking at the Blue Jackets. They made, in my mind, an awful overpayment of Provorov.
Yeah.
And they didn't really do anything offensively. And they still have, I think it was over 16 mil in cap space. So yeah. I don't know. I just feel like they got so close and they finished the season like so strong, but didn't make the wild card. They would have tried for, or they probably did, but they would have tried harder for Ehlers or other guys.
Yeah. Well, it sounded like they were in on Ehlers and they were gearing up to make a strong offer on Mitch Marner, is what I heard. And then when they struck out, Marner ends up, agreeing to the sign and trade to Vegas. They kind of were sitting there empty handed and they're like, okay, we got all this cap space. What do we do with it? And they didn't really do a whole lot to your, to your credit there. But I do like them as a team. I think that there could be some internal improvement there as a group. Offensively, that team scored a lot of goals. That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people realized about Columbus. They're young, but they were 8th in scoring last year, 267 goals, actually tied with the Leafs for 7th in the NHL in goal scoring. So I'll be curious to see what the Blues do. They didn't make that addition to maybe see them go above and beyond to put them over the top, but I feel like they're hoping that internally guys can take some steps and maybe that helps them get to the playoffs. It's a bit of a weaker Metropolitan Division, but maybe there was more expectation on Columbus and they kind of failed to make a big splash. Another team that I don't think it really made a big splash yet, at the very least, is the Edmonton Oilers. They kind of got pillaged. They've lost far more than they've gained, right? They signed Andrew Mangiapane. I think he'll be a good player. He's kind of like a Zach Hyman light in a way. So he goes and now joins Hyman in Edmonton, but they lost Evander Kane. They lost Corey Perry. They lost a few pieces from that team, John Klingberg, and they also didn't add in goal. And that's kind of where Edmonton, you look at last season, You're going to roll the dice with Stu Skinner again? Like, that's great for a guy who owns some Stu Skinner PSA 10 Young Guns. Yeah, okay, I guess.
Might know a guy, yeah.
Yeah, you might know a guy too, but I don't know, man. Like Edmonton, I don't know if I want to go to a third straight cup final and rely on that guy to get me there. It just not adding a goalie to me. And again, it's an incomplete offseason. There's still a chance for them to do that. But to this point, that to me makes them the biggest loser of all, because that was a must. That was a priority for Stan Bowman and the Edmonton Oilers, and not doing that and losing all the players that they lost and not really replacing them either. To me, Edmonton's team looks a lot weaker today than it did when they got eliminated in Game 6 of the Cup final.
Yeah, that goaltending problem in Edmonton really needed to be addressed, and I was saying it to you all season. Like, Skinner's not the dude. He had a couple good games in the playoffs, but I don't know. He's not it.
No, and the one name that I look at, and this can maybe even be a transition into like our hockey card stock exchange segment, where we look at guys stocking up and stocking down. You know, if you want to try and project, you know, potentially what the Oilers could do, try and get ahead of it, because if they get a goaltender of some kind, I'd imagine his market is going to spike. That's just what happens. Maybe a name to keep an eye on. If you see these floating around in, you know, the $1, $2, $5 bins when you're looking through Young Guns this weekend at the CSC show or whatever summer show you're attending throughout the next couple of weeks here, Elvis Merzlikins is a name that is a possibility out there. And, you know, you brought up the Columbus Blue Jackets, right? And Jack Greaves is now their number one goaltender. Remember how crazy Jack Greaves' cards got at the end of the season? Stupid stuff, but he's going to be their number one. And maybe they can finally move on from Elvis Merzlikins and put him in a new situation. That's maybe the one name that kind of still makes sense as someone who could be a lateral and possible upgrade from Stu Skinner, and you could get his cards pretty dirt cheap at this point. And he goes to Edmonton. I think you'll see a market increase, big boom in his market if he does get traded there. So that's one name just throwing it out there to kind of keep an eye on. If you see some cheap Merzlikin stuff, it might be worth a speculation if he ends up in Edmonton.
Yeah, I feel like he had some pretty good seasons with Columbus, no? Like
when he first got to the NHL, he was unbelievable.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that.
Looked like he was possibly going to be, you know, in the Sorokin, Shesterkin range. Yeah. Like his first 33 games in the NHL when he got there right before COVID, a 235 goals against and a 923 save percentage. In the AHL that year, he had a 949 save percentage. And they literally were like, okay, we got to bring you to the NHL because you're just too good for the American League. And, you know, he had a 916 save percentage the following year. And then there's that tragic moment where his goaltending partner, a fellow countryman of his, he's European. I'm not sure if he's Latvian, but Matisse Kivelniks, a teammate of Elvis Merzlikin's, tragically lost his life in a firework accident on a 4th of July celebration. And he hasn't been the same since. Yeah. And like, you could just look at the numbers. Yeah, like 923, 916, 907. But the last 3 years, it's been 876, 897, 892. Those don't look like good numbers and the type of stats that if you're Edmonton, you'd want to, you know, really rush out and grab a player with those type of analytics and statistics. But in a new spot, perhaps that could make some sense. And that really seems to be like the only other goaltender that makes a little sense that's on the open market right now. And I don't think it would cost a lot. And, you know, from a hobby perspective, you could get stuff dirt cheap from Merzlikins still at this point. Speaking of hobbies, speaking of stocking up, that was a little bonus, I suppose. But let's move along and get to it, right? Our hockey card stock exchange. It's a fun little, it's a fun segment that we like to do here from time to time. Take a look at some players trending upward, some players trending downward. And a lot of it has to do with, especially right now in the middle of the summer, I mean, to be honest, most players their actual markets are trending down. It's just kind of what we see in the summer. It happens all the time, but there are some guys trending upward. So we'll break it down as to who's up, who's down, and why that is the case. You want me to go first? Start with my trending up, and okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So it was a player that I already brought up a moment ago when I talked about the successful offseason start to the offseason for the Montreal Canadiens. And a big reason for it was because they went out and acquired Noah Dobson. Big, strong, right shot defenseman, two-way defenseman. He can defend, he can score. And that's a guy who is stocking way up right now. Noah Dobson could have been had for $15 as a raw young gun all day long. All day long, $15 prior to the trade to the Montreal Canadiens. I went to go and take a peek at what the last few sales were, Brandon. Each and every sale's like over $50. Like this guy tripled in value simply because of a trade to Montreal and a subsequent extension, long-term extension, 8 years, $9.5 million to stay with Montreal. And it tripled his pricing. Noah Dobson right now is one of the hottest players in the hobby. So he is at the tippy top for me when it comes to guys trending upward.
I found out about the trade just purely off of Facebook and seeing people post Noah Dobson cards for sale. And I was seeing Young Guns, they're like $50 OBO. I'm like, what happened? Like, did I miss something? And I scroll Sportsnet, and I'm like, oh, okay, this makes more sense. Like, I couldn't believe people were buying Noah Dobson Young Guns for $50, and like some guy had a whole collection of like 50 cards, RPAs, and he was asking some crazy number, and I was shocked at first, and then I saw the news, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting like one day for to have that collection of like a good player, not a great player, but a bunch of his stuff, and then he gets traded to Toronto or to Montreal, and it's a chance to unload it all for a very, very nice price. All right, who is stocking up for you, Brandon?
The guy I chose he's not an off-season one, just he's a guy I saw that was actually trending up, like his Young Gun PSA 10.
Mm-hmm.
The last month or so, he's up 20%. Mikko Rantanen. His Young Gun PSA 10 is up 20%. He had an amazing playoff, and I think he's now the superstar on his team. Like, they have Robertson, they have Wyatt Johnston, but I think Rantanen's the guy, and I think people are gonna maybe invest him and buy his stuff. I can only see him going up. I don't see him going down. Well, maybe not in the offseason, but when the season comes.
He was criminally low. Low. Like, there was time, like, not too long ago, like prior to the trade deadline, where I was seeing stickers for PSA 10s in like the $100 mark, $120 for a PSA 10 Mikko Rantanen. We're talking about like a top 10 player in the league here. And it was criminally low. And a big reason for it was because of the market he was playing in. He was, behind Nathan McKinnon, behind Cale Makar. Like, there was just a lot of guys who took up most of the conversation and most of the money, quite frankly, in Colorado. He goes to Dallas, and to your point, there's a couple of guys there, right? Wyatt Johnston, you mentioned, Rupe Hint is another one who's, a big time player for them. But Rantanen is by far and away the best, right? Like, he is their number one player, and he proved it in the postseason. So now all of a sudden you've got a superstar who is now the number one option and target, who has that production to go along with it. So doesn't surprise me at all that Mikko Rantanen's stocking up and trending upward now that he's with Dallas. Not one bit.
Yeah, and he's still only $170 Young Gun, especially after that playoff he had. I don't know. I feel that's still pretty low.
Yeah, still decently cheap. Trending down, some guys who are stocking down. You want to give me yours first?
Yeah, again, mine's not really an off-season move, but Kyle Connor, like, his Young Gun PSA 10 is down 35%. And I know, like, the off-season drop, I get it, but I feel like 35% is a lot.
Yeah, I would say so.
Especially for a goal scorer.
Yeah, it's the market, man. Like
I know.
Winnipeg, if it's what have you done for me lately, and it's to a whole other level when we're talking about like a Winnipeg Jet star, right? So that's kind of the situation for a guy like Kyle Connor, but
like he just had his best point season, and I think it was his second best for goals, and he's going down. It doesn't like that much. I understand the offseason down. I don't understand it going down that much.
Yeah. Sadly, it's like people don't care about him. And he did lose Nick Ehlers, though, who's a big setup man for him. So maybe that also plays into it where it's like, okay, the Jets didn't really replace Nick Ehlers. All right. Like, who's going to pass Connor the puck now? Right. Maybe that has something to do with his market kind of trending downward potentially.
Yeah. The Ehlers not a huge loss, but definitely. It's definitely going to hurt. It's definitely going to hurt for sure.
I disagree. That's a pretty big loss in my books. Yeah. Nick Ehlers. Yeah, I do think that's a pretty sizable loss in my opinion.
Yeah.
For me, going trending downward. Surprisingly, the name might shock you. Austin Matthews is the player who's trending downward, and I don't quite have an exact reason for why. I've got some theories, obviously, but you look at Austin Matthews and where his market has dropped to over the course of the last couple of months here, and it's quite drastic, actually, what's kind of happening with his market right now in particular. And then since Mitch Marner left, it's gone down even more. But there was a sale yesterday. The last sale of an Austin Matthews PSA 10 Young Gun, it sold for $819.
Wow,
$819. Card Ladder gives it a value of $822, and that's coming off a situation where at one point in the playoffs, this card reached $1,300. There was a sale on April 25th. That'd have been pretty much right like midway through the Ottawa series or towards the end of the Ottawa series. Maybe that's when they booked their ticket actually into the second round. It was a $1,300 sale, and it was very much, even after they got eliminated, hovering between $900 and $1,000. There's a sales high as $1,100 on June 12th. But since the sign and trade, since Mitch Marner's exit from the Toronto Maple Leafs, his market has tanked, like $917, $890, $822, and then the latest we're looking for him, $822, the latest sale, and it's the lowest sale for a Austin Matthews Young Guns in over a year. Let me see if there is if I look at a 2-year scale, this may even be the lowest price. Yeah, in 2 years. The lowest price we've seen in 2 years. So since the boom, we haven't seen Austin Matthews regular pricing in the 800 range. You got to go all the way back to pre-pandemic before you can get to those numbers, or at least pre-2021.
Yeah.
Before you find a time where a PSA 10 Matthews Young Guns could be had at a cheaper price. So again, how much of it has to do with Marner leaving? Maybe he won't score as many goals, and how much does it have to do with like the apathy of the Maple Leafs, where it's just people are sick of the team? Perhaps maybe it's the injuries that continue to pile up with Austin Matthews. Maybe he doesn't turn into that goal scorer, that guy who statistically, if he played every game, could challenge Ovi for that goal record one day. But he just can't stay healthy. Like, it's just very unlikely he does that. So I think all of those factors may be leading into the decline in the Matthews market. Again, last sale, $822 just a couple days ago. And when you hear that, though, Brandon, when you do hear that, $822, someone walked up to you and they're like, $820, PSA 10 Matthews, you buying it at that price?
Like right now,
now, yeah. Would you buy it at $820? Would you buy it?
I'd buy that.
Yeah. So you expect it to rebound, though?
Yeah, I do expect it to go back up. Like we've said, it is the off season. He did have an off season. Like he wasn't at his best. He was nursing an injury, and he just lost his winger. So I think Nyes would do, maybe not completely replicate Marner and his playmaking abilities, but I think Nyes will help for sure on the wing, like helping Matthew score goals and stuff. But it'll go up. It'll go back up.
Yeah,
For sure.
I'm with you. I think he's a good buy right now. Basically, if you can get Matthews in around $800 on a PSA 10, I think it's a good buy. I do, because it's gonna go back up. Will it get to the 13, 14, $1,500 lengths that it was a few years ago when he was chasing 70? Maybe it doesn't quite get that high again. The pop counts are way higher now than they were back then also, which could be another reason why. I will actually, while we're having this chat, take a peek at what the pop count is on a PSA 10. It is now 4,086 for a PSA 10 Young Guns. So I believe that might be like in the top 10 or so in terms of hockey cards that are graded in PSA 10. That very well could be the case. So there's another reason as to why maybe Matthews is seeing a decrease in his pricing. But once we get back into the fold, I do firmly expect for
100%
for his for his market to pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of, we just talked about a player that maybe we'd be buying, and Austin Matthews could be that guy. If you see some of his cards, maybe worth picking it up if his market's at an all-time low, like literally like a 4-5 year low. Possibly a good time to pick him up. Off-season plan of attack. This is a conversation I wanted to have with you, Brandon. And you're a bit of a different cat than I am. Like, we both have different methods when it comes to the way we buy, sell, and trade our hockey cards. So I'm just curious to get your thoughts on the method that you will be, I guess, deploying over the course of the summer when it comes to, the hockey card market.
Yeah, like as you know, I don't really invest, I guess, in players or hold for the future. If I do, it'll be a smaller guy like Mangiapane, for instance. Like I think he has the potential to have a pretty good season beside Draisaitl. He's cheap enough too that I think picking up a couple of his stuff. I don't think he's gonna skyrocket. I don't think he's gonna jump to like a $60, $50 Young Gun, but I think you can make a pretty good flip on him. But yeah, like I'm more of like a buy low, sell for profit kind of guy, right? So I'm just looking for guys, superstars or top players or guys that people are looking for that I can buy cheap and sell at a profit.
Who are they looking for?
Well, my Mangiapane is definitely one. I think Ehlers might be a decent one too. He's still pretty. I think what is he?
There's
10.
one name. There's one name. You're overthinking it. There's one name. I know you know who I'm thinking of. Who's the auto buy right now? Because he's an auto sell the second it hits your showcase.
Oh, Matthew Nyes? Yeah.
That's right.
Oh yeah, that one, yeah, sorry. I didn't even think of that one because that one's just obvious. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Matthew Nyes, especially with what I just said about him helping Matthews score goals, I think he's a buy instantly because he sells. If I can get him at below comps, he's definitely an easy buy and sell.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good time to buy, in my opinion, because the off season, brings values down. And if you can buy at below comp value, you're usually able to make a profit, right? When we're talking about investing and flipping, like that's what we're talking about, right? How can you make a profit? And this is the way to do it. So for me, I'm always in buy mode in the off season. I like to buy more than sell when it comes to the off season, because I think you can get really good pricing on things. I know I'm not the biggest grader, but I do think that off season grading is a good thing to do. I think it's a good time to send your cards off to PSA or whatever grading company you want to use. I personally would only use PSA, but that's just me.
I
Um,
agree.
but it is a good time to be doing that because there's not as much volatility in these cards. There's not a whole lot that's going to allow them to go up and down at this point. I think holding through till the end of free agency and like that first big wave, when the first set of big trades have gone down, most of the heavy lifting is done now. So I think you can kind of sit back and think to yourself, okay, who do I want to grade? What cards do I want to grade and send off? Now is the time to do that so that hopefully it gets back in a couple of months when the season's ready to go. And again, prices start to ramp back up and speculation starts to ramp back up. And, there's your chance to make profits. So buy low in the off season. You could grade them if they look good and then try and sell them, right before the season starts or right as the season starts when the players get back on the ice and start to show promise again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that I personally like to attack things in the off season.
Yeah, I agree with the grading for sure.
Yeah.
Grading any time of the year is good, but definitely off season to get back for the season makes sense.
Well, it's grading ahead of the playoffs is kind of a questionable thing to do.
Unless you're getting tens, but yeah.
But it's the turnaround time. That's for me the problem is now you probably like if you send something in early April, you'll be lucky if you get them back by the end of the cup final. And at that point, you better hope that whatever you sent out is in the cup final. But like if you would have sent out a Marner Young Guns, right ahead of the Stanley Cup playoffs, like in early April, you lost a significant amount of money.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because you waited and you gambled. So that's kind of a time where I personally don't like to grade. I usually take the playoffs off for that. Not that great often, but that would be my strategy if I did. I would not send things out during the playoffs because I think it'd be better off to sell when hype gets there for if a guy breaks out. So that's kind of just my philosophy on that. All right, Brandon, there's one more thing that I want to get into for today's show. And I was just scrolling Instagram earlier today, and I saw this was posted by Sports Card Investor that eBay is testing out changes to their bidding process. So I went to the eBay website to go and see, okay, is this real? Is this true? Is this happening? Like eBay's been around for quite some time. Why are they making changes? It's an auction. What are we making changes to auctions for?
Yeah.
It is. It's right on the website. They said, quote, "We're currently testing extending auction durations by 2 minutes when a bid is placed in the last 2 minutes of an auction. This test will apply to select items in the trading cards category. Please make sure you're on the latest version or app to see this feature." So with trading cards specifically, so that's hockey cards, football, baseball, basketball, Pokemon, Magic, whatever trading card, sports card is going and being put up on eBay, they will be subject to a possible extension to these auctions. So basically, like if you're bidding on a card and you think that you're gonna get it right, and it's going down the final 3 seconds, where a lot of people will just put in like a max bid, and whoever has the highest max bid will get that card. That's not gonna work that way anymore.
No.
If there's a bid in the final 2 minutes, it's gonna restart the clock again for another 2 minutes. So basically, you have to have the highest bid for 2 full minutes before we see an auction officially end. Like how, first of all, your thoughts on this, and then maybe we can get into what I don't know, like what may happen because of this. But your initial thoughts on this new pilot project for eBay.
I thought it was dumb. I don't like it at all. Like I don't use eBay that often, but when I am like going after auctions, I'm that guy sniping at the end. Like I'm the guy trying to get the 1 second, 2 second, throw my max bid in, and hopefully I get it kind of bid guy.
So yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
So that's coming at it from a buyer's perspective.
Yeah.
From a seller's perspective, though, it does give people more of an opportunity to outbid others, right? Like to continue to outbid, and then it'll truly go to the person who's willing to pay the most, because just the way that I've done it, like if I'm on a Slab Sharks auction or whatever it is, any auction, and there's a card that I like, let's say it's a throw out a random card. It's an
Austin
Austin
Matthews,
Matthews.
Young
Yeah,
Guns, PSA 10.
there we go. Okay. So I may not be willing to pay, $900 on that right now because know what the market is. So I see that it's at like 820 or 822, whatever that last sale was. Right. In the final 2 minutes, I would have had the opportunity. All right, I'll pay an extra $2 on that. Let's go to 824. Pay the extra $2 on that, 824. Right. You could let the clock bleed a little, and then someone else comes in. And then someone else will come in, and someone else will come in. So I feel like from a seller, I do feel like you will be able to get more out of your auctions this way. And I think eBay is not necessarily to do the best by the buyer. I think eBay is probably thinking, how can we maximize sales? I think this will maximize sales a little bit more. Because again, it'll give you an option to extend your max bid.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense too. I never really thought of the seller side of it. So,
which is interesting because you sell. You like to sell.
I just don't sell auctions.
No, I know. I'm not huge on the eBay selling side of things as well, but I know a lot of people that are, and I just I from a buying perspective, it stinks because you won't be able to use the snipe anymore. But from a seller, guys aren't going to be able to snipe it for bottom low pricing. It's someone who has it watched or someone who put in a bid of, let's say a card I put in a bid for 35. I may be willing to pay $50 for the card, but it's at $28, and I just say, all right, let's max bid up to 35, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't if I don't get it on that final second, right? And then it goes to $38 because someone else bid that, I now have an opportunity again to add an upgrade to that bid. You can start a bidding war with people. It gives them 2 minutes to decide if they want to continue to bid, as opposed to everyone, okay, highest bid, go.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense for sure. Yeah.
That being said, I don't like it.
Yeah.
All that to say, I don't like it. I'm more of a traditionalist. But I could see there being benefits to the sellers. From a buying perspective, I don't want that anywhere near the auctions that I'm involved with. But I can see from a selling perspective why that might work out better.
Yeah, and that app I like, My Card Post, is going to be auctioned soon, so I'll be on there.
Yeah, you're a big MCP guy. MCP guy.
Yeah, it's fun. It's I love the no fees, and it's a good app.
I do agree. I'm getting on it. I'm trying to figure it out a little bit. We should get the what's his name? The owner.
Mark?
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, we should get him on the show. Try and get him on the show and get his input on what's going on with the hobby, and maybe he can tell us and our listeners a little bit more about My Card Post. We should kind of star that and put that conversation on the back burner for now. But
I've chatted with him a couple times, so
yeah, we should do that. All right. Why don't we wrap things up? Actually, big hobby news: the Bedard Ultimate Shields that we talked about a couple weeks ago that Slab Sharks had. It sold $76,844 for Bedard 1/1 Ultimate Shield Auto, and sold and verified, paid for. So that's the market for Bedard 1/1 Shields, $76,844. How much more would the Cup one be worth in your opinion? Like if Ultimate sold for $76K, I find it hard to believe that the Cup should be worth over $150, which is what was was an offer that they had on that card when it was pulled by GP Sports. I don't know if he's going to get that now after seeing what this went for. Like, probably what, 100K? Like, I would give it like a 25% escalator, but definitely not double.
No, I don't think double at all. I think 100, 120 max.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you
see
the
150? Should have took the 150.
Yeah, I know. Did you see the I was just looking at the bids for the Bedard, like how much it went up however long.
It didn't have a single bid like the final week, or maybe like one or two bids.
So June 24th to July 3rd, it went up $100, which shocked me.
Yeah. So like this was a situation where like the highest bid didn't matter. No one else was willing to pay that. Like 76,844. Like that was the highest bid.
Yep.
Right. Like we didn't see the 2-minute reset with this sale. Someone came out right away and they're like willing to pay 76,000 for it, and no one else was willing to meet that number. And for a week, it sat there around the same price. And like you said, someone upped it $100, but that was it.
Yeah. And speaking of Bedard 101s, did you see the new one they got?
Oh no!
So they have the Premier RPA 1/1. It's right on their homepage if you go to their website.
Ooh.
It's live right now. I think it ends Thursday.
If you press to the right of you, is there a present or invite button? If you press it and press share screen, you should be able to share your screen with us. You could show us it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Technology and stuff.
Look at you, eh?
Look at me. Technology and stuff. There we go. Bam. Okay. Okay.
Do you see that patch?
Oh, what a beautiful patch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors.
Oh my God. And like the amount of color breaks on that thing. Is that a 101?
Yeah, that's the 101. Pretty sure.
My word. What a beautiful.
I'm trying to see if it says 101 somewhere.
So that ends tomorrow night.
I think Thursday.
Or Thursday night. What's it at right now? What's it at?
Oh yeah, ends one day. Yeah, 101 right here.
Yeah, what's it at?
20K. 20K, 20,200.
Interesting.
And then they have the cup at a 10 retro one.
Yeah. Definitely going to go for more than 20K. I don't think it's going to go, like, it won't hit the shield number. I don't think the shields are more highly sought after. But I could see that it's going to blow past 20, maybe 25, 30, perhaps, if it's already at 20. Although,
I have a question for you.
Maybe 25.
Would you rather have this or the shield that just sold?
As a collection piece, I would probably rather, honestly, the shield.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather shield. I don't know what it is about like the autograph placement and the small window.
Yeah,
for the jersey. It just, I don't know. It seems, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd rather the shield.
I was thinking if, like, I don't like the design of their Premier. I like the design of the Ultimate more.
Yeah, like those shields. Like, look at the one on the Shesterkin.
Yeah,
like it just, I don't know. The shield just looks bigger.
Like, but if they put this patch on the Ultimate card, I think that would be crazy. I personally would rather have a 6-color patch than a shield, but I don't like the design of the card.
That's it. That's it for me. Yeah, like that's why I don't.
Yeah.
Don't like it. The auto twos. What the hell is that? What the hell is that, Betsy? Anyways, that's a rant for another day. Stupid autographs from these stupid Gen Zers. But anyway, so that's kind of the latest going on within the hobby. Couple big shows this weekend, including the CSC show. You're gonna be there?
Yeah, I'll be there all day. Starts at 10 and the trade night ends at 9, so I'll probably be there all day.
Look at this guy out there moving and shaking. What are you hoping to do? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, I'm gonna do what I do and try to buy some cards low and sell some cards high. I don't know if I'm going to find much Mangiapane, but I'm definitely going to take a look. See if I can hold. If I'm going to hold somebody, I think it'll be Mangiapane for sure.
Yeah.
So I might take a look for him in some bins.
Fair enough. If you can find a cheap Matthias Michelli,
yeah, him too.
Possibly pick one or two of those up. I think he's a 22-23 young gun, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I am going away this weekend, so I will not be at any shows. But next week, I'm not going on a cruise though.
I know
it is not a cruise this time. But
and
yeah,
then Sunday's sorry, go ahead.
No, what's going on Sunday?
Sunday's the Niagara Falls show at Fireman's Park.
Correct. They want more sports. They want more sports people out there. So if you're looking for hockey cards or any sports cards, Brandon will be there. I usually am there. I've been to the last couple. And there is a handful of sports guys. So if you're looking for hockey cards, you can find them at that show Sunday in Niagara Falls at the Fireman's Park.
Also, if you're a vendor and you want to set up, they're looking for more sports vendors. So
yeah. All right, so there it is. Couple shows this weekend. Brandon will be full send into the hobby all weekend. All right, that's going to do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe here on YouTube, and you can also listen to us and subscribe on Spotify. We'll be back next Wednesday with another episode of the Hockey Card Haven podcast.